Hi everyone, it's 1 o'clock and you're tuned into IC Radio. I'm Glennis.
I'm Alexia. Welcome back to Science at 1, where we bring you the best science news, gossip, and facts.
And some music on our playlist today contains the likes of Company Gun, Tom West, and Southern Call.
And on the science menu today, we'll be covering Movember.
With a live interview in studio from our very own Liam Watson, our administrator and support services here at the Science Communication Department.
Then, we'll be having an explosive discussion about fireworks.
After which, we will deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of fungal computing.
Oh, but maybe in the future, we won't need fiber optic cables for internet. We'll all be using the Wood Wide Web.
And to finish off, we'll head down to the science filter, where we sort the facts from fiction.
And that's all coming up here on Science at 1. Okay, so Alexia, Halloween was over the weekend. Did you do anything fun to celebrate?
It was actually quite fun. My band and I had a concert in London.
Oh, cool.
And we all dressed up. I was a cowboy, drummer.
Nice. That's super cool.
As one is.
Obviously.
Did you dress up?
No, I didn't. I unfortunately was in my room alone, live streaming a Blue Jays game because they made it to the finals for the first time in 32 years. And unfortunately, the game started at 12 a.m. because of the time difference. So I was up until 3 and 4 a.m. To watch the whole game, just to have them lose both games 6 and 7, which was absolutely heartbreaking. But I'm happy I watched because they haven't made it that far in a very long time. So
it's about participation.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking, honestly, watching them lose and all of them crying after. But yeah, they made it way further than anyone thought they were going to. So it was cool. It was cool to see. But anyways, that's enough about our weekends. Let's get back into science. But first, here is our first song, Try by Company Gun.
Why
And that was Try by Company Gun, a song Alexia likes so much she just added it to her Spotify playlist. But anyways, Alexia, did you know we are officially in Movember now?
I think you mean November.
No, just Movember. Begins with an M, not an N. It's been introduced to raise awareness for men's health issues.
So the M stands for man.
Well, personally, I don't really know. But I do know that in November, men tend to not shave their mustaches. So maybe it relates to that.
Well, at least I understand why you might see some guys rock a stash this month. But I still understand how it is related to male health problems. Well, luckily, today, we're happily joined by Yang, who definitely knows a thing or two about Movember.
Thank you guys for having me.
Saying, what does the M truly mean here?
I must say you guys are really close to the correct answer, and the M is actually from mo, which is the mustache in Australian dialect.
Oh, fascinating. So, does this event come from Australia?
Exactly. It all started in the 2003 when the Travis Garane and Luke Slattery was drinking beer in Melbourne, Australia. And when they came out with this idea, and it is not related to male health issue at the beginning. They just want to introduce mustache into the fashion trend. Well, but then they found Movember is a perfect foundation for charity. So they started raising medical funds for people who need help in the following years. And that's the real starting point of Movember we are talking now.
Yeah, and now it's a really big event in the UK too.
Yeah, it became a global since. It launched in UK from 2007, and now they have 20 participating countries and more than 6 million registered participants from everywhere in the world.
So how could we take part in it? For example, I can't grow a mustache.
It's really easy. You could only register on their website, which is the uk.movember.com. Again, that's uk.movember.com. Remember, it's M, not an N, so that's the tricky point. And you could also know more about recent events or donate online in their website. Well, for the female member, with a click, you become part of Mo Bros and Mo Sisters.
I definitely like the name. It does kind of roll off the tongue. But now I know a bit more about Movember and that it's meant to raise awareness around men's health. But what is their main focus? Health is a pretty broad topic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like during the past activity, they mainly focus on men's physical disease and partner with some kind of cancer research associations and many other charity groups. However, they also concern the growing issue of men's mental health in recent years and launched many events to encourage people to focus on this problem. Like, for example, they introduced the Family Man Project, which is the world's first online parenting program designed with their dads in mind. It's a great way to improve their parenting confidence and knowledge.
That's great news. Mental health problems are much more prevalent than people usually perceive them to be. Once I read an article from the NHS and they claimed that 12.5% of men in England have a mental health disorder.
Wow, that is a really big number. And I'm curious to see as to why it's so high, and I believe our audience would like to know more too.
That's right. Thus, I introduce a true expert in this field is our very own administrator and safeguarding support office here in the Science Communication Department, Mr. Liang Watson. Now, I believe he would answer our questions.
Well then, we'll be hearing from him right after the song Longing by Tom West.
Didn't even know that I was lonely. It's 2 a.m. raining on the city. I was at the shore and now I'm under the river. And I think I know if this is longing. Haven't had enough. Well, you take me in. I've come a long way. you gotta cry some a new guy at dinner, and I'm getting lost in these conversations, and I think I know if this is longing. Haven't had enough. Well, you take me in. I've come a long way to begin. Well, you take me in. I've come a long way to begin again, and I didn't even know that I was lonely. Didn't feel the rain upon my skin. Didn't take you up on that chance. Is this longing? This is longing, yeah. Well, you take me in. I've come a long way to begin again, and I haven't had enough. Haven't had enough. Haven't had enough. Haven't had enough.
And that was Longing by Tom West. And we are now joined in the studio by Liam Watson.
Yeah. Hi, Liam. Thank you so much for joining us. You are our first live guest, which is exciting for us, and I hope it's also exciting for you.
How's your day been so far?
It's been all right.
Yeah.
Just all right.
Yeah, unspectacular.
It's part of the Movember spirit. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it briefly, but can you tell us a bit more about your role within Imperial and outside?
Yeah, my role at Imperial, I'm the Science Communication Unit Administrator. I've been doing this for 18 years. Part of that is to be the wellbeing advisor for students and sort of looking after some of the pastoral stuff. Externally, I also work as a therapist part-time.
Well, thank you for that. The reason we have asked you to come in today is to get your expertise on the topic. My first question for you is, within your line of work, what's the biggest source of pressure that causes mental problems for men today?
It's really interesting, and it makes me realise that not many men actually come to see me. I mean, we have the course I'm on is there are more female students than male students, but I don't tend to get much traffic from men. I would say, for that reason, probably the biggest pressure is stoicism. There's larger ideas about masculinity and about what the man can express, what's right, what's open to them.
So could you elaborate further, some specific activities you receive such kind of pressure in their daily lives?
Men in particular.
Yeah, something particular about something like which kind of their pressure resource, like if they receive the pressure from their friends or from their family members, and to which kind of is the give them more pressure. It's a social pressure or the family pressure, I guess.
I suppose it comes from different places. It's pressure. Do you mean as a student?
Yeah, or a man or young man students. Yeah.
I would struggle a bit to differentiate between the kind of pressures that men feel and pressures that women feel academically.
Oh.
I mean, certainly parental pressure is a big thing now, especially since there's fees to be paid. That's changed in the time I've been here.
Yeah.
Parents are more involved now than they used to be.
Yeah, and speak which, sir, you just say that there are not too many men to visit you for this psychological service. I think that's lead to another question is that what do you believe is the biggest gap or some kind of biggest problem in our mental health support for men in the UK?
I think that there's huge gaps for everyone.
Oh.
I really do. I think what you can get on the NHS is a very short-term counselling. You get offered a CBT, which is very good at looking at some specific issues. What you don't get, unless things are very bad, is a longer-term type of support that can look at the roots of your issues.
Yeah, so like there's a lack of long-term program to help people improve.
Yeah, it's all short-term, sort of sticking plaster type.
Yeah, so sorry, Liam, I had a question about CBT. So that, for those that don't know, is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
Correct. So you said that was more of like a short-term solution for those that search and seek that out. So why is that more of a short-term option?
Well, because it's clinically proven to sort of help with discrete issues like a phobia or being caught in a thought loop about something. It's very good for like insomnia. So if someone goes to their GP and says I can't sleep, whatever, and they're stressed, they'll go to a sort of short-term CBT practitioner or a CBT group about that, and that'll hopefully address that issue. But what it doesn't do is address the root.
Okay.
And that's another question for me myself, because I see there's lack of the long-term program for the carrying of the mental health, and the men are not a specific type of person who like to enjoy to see the psychologist service. So it's really hard to tell the phenomena when you could see a man indirectly ask for help when they're struggling. So is there any kind of small trick or some kind of way to discern this kind of phenomena? You can tell that this man is need for like psychological help.
Do you mean what are the signs that someone might need psychological help?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say risky behaviours, heavy drinking, drama, which sounds a bit dismissive, but we all know people that are very dramatic, seem to have a lot in their lives, and there's often a sort of message in there like, what are you telling me is going on? How are you really feeling?
So like if people suddenly starting to soar in temper, that means he may be in some very critical condition.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So like then if we can tell they are experiencing this kind of psychological hardship, so as a friend or family member, that what can we do to help our male friends to get away from this kind of situation?
I would say, and actually I do think this is happening now anyway, but it's very positive, is that people are more aware of mental health. It's much more, it's destigmatized compared to where it was 10 years ago. And just continue that. And then one thing you can do is normalize talking about mental health. For example, okay, I'll do it. In November, I notice my mood goes down. That's mental health. Just normalize these things. If you make it okay to talk about with your male friends, then hopefully they'll talk back to you about theirs, because we all have mental health and we all struggle.
So the trick is to see the problem straight, and to communication is the key part too.
Yes.
And is there other ways to help them? Such as we can take them out for a little trip or something like that.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, I think university students are very ambitious. People are very focused on their goals, but don't forget to live while you're doing that.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And Liam, you mentioned that it's a good thing to open up to your friends. Have you found that if you've opened up to them, it's been reciprocated?
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm older than you, so life has happened. There have been major life events for me and my friends, and that does sort of bring people closer together. And in a way, in that process, you get a sense of not being alone. And there's a sort of, how do I say this? More of a sort of common humanity that you're aware of as you get older. But I think when you're in your 20s, it's not as apparent.
Yeah. So just having a nice, really honest discussion can be really helpful between friends. That's good to know.
Yeah.
And that's when we talk about that the men's mental health is they don't like to express them to others, which is the biggest essential problems of that. So for that kind of group, what's the one thing you'd like to say to a man who thinks seeking help is a weakness?
Very simply, seeking help is not a weakness.
Yeah, but could you elaborate to make them believe it is not a weakness?
How do you convince someone of something? I have to think about that.
Yeah, that's a short slogan is enough to try to.
I do think so. I think in essence, it's what we all need to remember.
Yeah. So is there any small tips that you can recommend for people to deal with their daily pressure?
There is, people talk a lot about mindfulness these days. And the college does offer various, the chaplaincy, for example, has free mindfulness. Oh God, I can't remember which day it is, but it's happening. And there's also meditation that's open to everyone. But you can just bring yourself into the present moment if you're really struggling, if you're very overwhelmed with something.
Oh.
And that's right now I can do it. Because I think it's a bit nervous being interviewed, so I'm going to focus my attention on the soles of my feet.
Oh, yeah, grounding your feet, that's... Yeah, because I've done cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's one of the highlights that my therapist would share with me. Do you practice mindfulness then?
I do. I do. I was thinking make it a practice, sort of make it quite a central thing, rather than something you just fit around the edges when you've got time, because actually the benefit of it is huge, and it'll benefit your studies.
So you'd recommend it trying to become more of like a daily or weekly kind of thing in your life?
Yeah.
To be more proactive rather than reactive?
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can manage. And remember that it's important. It's not a sort of frilly thing on the edge. You know, it can be quite central to your own well-being.
Yeah, like, is there any kind of physical ways to soothe your daily pressures? For example, like taking some vitamin or things like that?
I do a lot of running myself.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that has two really good effects. I mean, I enjoy it, so that's why I do it. I wouldn't say to anyone, don't do something you don't enjoy. But it has the effect of sort of lowering the sort of general angst and the kind of background noise that's always there. You know. But also, it taught me that you can have some control over how you feel. Yeah,
just as the physical exercise make you feel you are real living, like the people say.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting topic, because like we saw that man is less prone to our society believes they are to be strong, that they should not to have physical problems, the psychological problems. But in reality is that they are daily the most pressure, as sometimes in a family, because they need to make a wage to feed their child and feed their family.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite important for us to taking more care for them. And speak to this is a man who work in the social society, but in this university, is there any male to seek help in this university for psychology?
We actually offer quite a broad range of stuff. There's a counselling service which has up to 5 sessions. There can be a waiting list. I'm not sure what it is at the moment. But there's also more sort of immediate interventions. Like we have a mental health intervention team. If you just look up counselling at Imperial, that'll bring up a whole load of stuff. And various sort of workshops you can attend, and a group therapy as well.
Oh, Liam, and what would you recommend for outside of university? Are there any resources out there?
Yeah, just for if any of our listeners are not Imperial students, if they can take any applicable things.
I mean, obviously there's a GP to the CBT workshop route that I was talking about earlier. Look up community counselling if you need a resource. Very often there's one in Camden, for example, has one for Camden residents. You can get up to a year of low-cost therapy.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it depends on where you live. I mean, it's patchy.
Are there long wait times for that, to get into that?
It really depends.
Okay.
None of these would be sort of crisis services. They're all sort of general, I think I need some help, I can wait 3 months kind of thing.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Liam, for your time. As we wrap things up, is there anywhere people can find you, Imperial students, or if they want to reach out?
You can look me up, just Liam Watson, Science Communication Unit.
And is there anything else you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, like a nice ending. I don't know.
Or how about, sorry. I'll ask a different question to try to have you end. So could you just explain a bit more about the basic situation of psychological care services within the school maybe, and how a student could reach out for different types of things?
Just look up counselling on our webpage, and there's a list of all sorts of different resources available. There's self-help stuff for right now, like worksheets, CBT-based worksheets.
Okay.
And then there's also the link to getting the free counselling from the college.
And you can't speak to if there's a wait time or anything like that?
I don't know how long it is. In the past, there has been a wait time that may have changed. My sense is Imperial's really growing this.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, the mental health intervention stuff, that I think is pretty new. So there's definitely a sort of growing impetus. So my information in my head isn't quite up to date. So I would check it out.
So sorry, the mental health intervention, do you mind just elaborating a bit on that?
That is, if you're struggling with your mental health and you want help right now, I mean, it's not a crisis thing. If a person's feeling suicidal, then they need to get in touch 999 or Samaritans. But this is more, if you're worried about your mental health, get in touch with them. They'll get back in touch with you and sort of talk you through things. Also, if you're worried, pretty crucially, if you're worried about another student, mental health, they will get in touch with the student on your behalf.
Okay, and sorry, is that anonymous?
Yeah, anonymous.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect. And as we leave, I was gonna leave you, Liam, but we're just gonna say again that if anyone wants to join the Movember movement, now is the time. It's the perfect month for it, and it's at uk.movember.com.
Yeah, and thank you for your time, Liam.
Oh, thank you.
It was great to know more about the services here, especially as we're all master's students that didn't do our undergrads here. So this is all very new, and it's great to know, especially for anyone listening.
And thank you again for coming. Next up, we've got a song, and it's Fireworks by Michael Sheens.
It all started with a wink, an unassuming little thing that has led us here today. She was not one for the bar, we only lived mere miles apart, more like a second chance away. We had both loved and lost, and we'd both been on first dates, but this one was different. And now I say, I saw fireworks that day. In every way, I saw fireworks for the second time in 2 days. We battled distance through the years, weekend flights and talk all nights, growing closer, sharing fears. I took you to the mountaintop and bent the knee when we got off. You were smiling ear to ear. We had both loved and lost, but we can start again. This time we're different, so now we say, I saw fireworks that day. In every way, I saw fireworks for the second time in 2 days. let's never change anything.
And that was Fireworks by Michael Shines.
So Glynis, we've got a fiery segment coming up. They're loud, bright, not great for the environment, but arguably one of the prettiest things to look at in the night sky. You might already know what we're going to discuss, but Glynis, what comes to mind when you think of fireworks?
Yeah, so being Canadian, when I think of fireworks, I immediately think of Canada Day and also Victoria Day, which we call May 24, even though it tends to not fall on May 24th. But Canada Day celebrates the Canadian Confederation, and Victoria Day celebrates Queen Victoria, who was known as the Mother of Confederation.
Oh, wow. That's quite interesting. What was your first experience with fireworks? How old were you, and what do you remember?
Yeah, so when I was a kid for Victoria Day, we would buy fireworks from a store called Kaboom, which I thought was very fitting. We'd stick them in a metal flower pot with some rocks and light them in the backyard, and my dog absolutely hated it.
That sounds quite dangerous. I remember when I was around 4 years old, I got burned with a mini sparkler. So I started to fear them, as one does. Kind of like, like Pavlov's dog. You get hurt once, you don't want to get hurt twice. But now I grew up loving them because it gives me a sense of hope for the new year. And I'm quite fond of the after smell.
But how do people come about fireworks in the first place? Do you know?
Well, according to the American Pyrotechnics Association, fireworks originated in the 2nd century BC in ancient Luoyang, China, and were believed to ward off evil spirits. They weren't yet called fireworks, just natural firecrackers. The idea came from throwing bamboo sticks into fire. The hollow air pockets inside would overheat and explode with a loud crack. And later, people started stuffing bamboo with a mix of potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. Basically, early gunpowder. Fireworks get their colors from specific metal salts and chemicals that emit light of a particular wavelength when heated to high temperature. And different chemicals are used for different colors, such as strontium for red, barium for green, copper for blue, and sodium for yellow.
But were people not scared when they first heard the crack?
Of course, people are always scared of the unknown. But surprisingly, when the bamboo first cracked, people laughed. There are records in the Chinese text from around 290 AD describing how these firecrackers were used to ward off strangers and even cook food. Legend says gunpowder was first discovered in the kitchen. And since people commonly had sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter around the house, the first written formula of gunpowder actually appeared in a Chinese military handbook in 1044. And for centuries, it was even used as medicine. In 1749's Britain Gentleman's Magazine, they called gunpowder a remedy much in vogue among soldiers.
Was that their version of British Vogue? Honey, guess what I picked up from the pharmacy?
I guess it wouldn't be too far from the Second Amendment today. But actually, if we go back to ancient China, you aren't regarded as a real man unless you carried firecrackers in your pocket.
So arsonists have always been cool?
There's one way to put it. Could you imagine yourself carrying firecrackers in your pocket, Glynis?
Personally, absolutely not. Here you can't even carry pepper spray for self-defense these days.
True. And today, you can actually be fined at least £90 or even face up to 6 months in prison for selling or using fireworks illegally. I'll admit, I do get uneasy around an open flame, but interestingly, while fireworks should be scary, they've always had a celebratory place in culture. Fireworks reached around Europe in the 13th century, and by the 15th, they were a big part of religious festivals and public entertainment. The Italians were the first Europeans to manufacture them, and rulers used fireworks to dazzle their subjects and light up castles for special occasions. And in the US, fireworks are both business and pleasure. One of the largest US suppliers based in Louisville generates over $56 million for the local economy. So Glynis, what holidays do you associate with fireworks?
Well, definitely New Year's Eve, and obviously Canada Day and Victoria Day, like I said before.
But what about Guy Fawkes? That was actually yesterday. Did you know anything about it before moving to the UK?
No, but I was briefed on how to mentally prepare for all the surprise fireworks this fall and winter.
Fair enough. Well, Guy Fawkes is such a big part of UK history. There's even a whole chapter called From Origins to Guy Fawkes in a book I read recently by John Whittington on the history of fireworks.
Guy Fawkes. I'm not going to lie, that is a bit of a silly name.
That is indeed. It's a silly name, but it has a serious story. And since you don't know much about it, let me fill you in. On November 5th, 1605, a group of Catholic conspirators planned to blow up the Parliament. A massive act of rebellion meant to kill the king and spark an uprising, but the plot was foiled just hours before the fuse was lit. Half the plotters were killed in a shootout, and the rest, including Guy Fawkes, were tried and executed for treason. Soon after, Parliament passed the Thanksgiving Act, making November 5th as an annual day of church celebration. And over time, the solemn ceremonies faded, replaced by popular festivities, bell ringing, bonfires, and fireworks. By the late 18th century, the day often turned into chaotic celebrations, and then, in 1910, firework manufacturers began marketing it as Firework Night, boosting their sales by 20% a year. Children would build Guy Fawkes effigies, asking for a penny for the guy to buy fireworks, and by the mid-20th century, Fireworks Night had become a beloved family tradition. Government ads in the 1980s started warning off of firework safety, showing how to protect us, and hedgehogs, and pets, and fires, everyone hiding in bonfires. It's quite a change from the riotous celebration of the past.
So he's kind of an anti-hero, unhappy with the system, taking matters into his own hands.
Indeed, and that's why he still resonates today. Fireworks aren't just about pretty colors. They symbolize rebellion, frustration, and freedom of expression.
So have fireworks always been political then?
In a way, yes. Skyrockets were often used in warfare too, but there's also a darker side with injuries and pollutions. While regulation have reduced accidents over the years, most injuries still happen among children aged 5 to 14, and 92% of them are unsupervised. Firework misuse causes 41% of injuries, followed by device failure at 35%. And environmentally, fireworks release sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, which contribute to acid rain as well as heavy metals, particulate matter, and microplastics that harm air, water, and wildlife. Even noise and light pollution can seriously distress animals.
Well, a lot of beautiful things in nature are also dangerous or poisonous, so it honestly doesn't surprise me. No matter how pretty fireworks are, they often cause more harm than good.
True. In moderation, they're fine, but not in excess. And today, thanks to social media, people are held accountable for misuse, like those disastrous gender reveal parties that end up damaging ecosystems.
So we should enjoy them while they come, but remember what they represent.
Exactly. Fireworks aren't just sparks in the night. They're symbols of joy, protest, and how we express ourselves as a society.
Great. Well, right after this, we will be back, but first, Southern Call by Smoke Show.
See you on the coast now, and out the window with your guard down, pulling me into the waves of a day start to fray like a loose ground. You're not the king of California. 3 a.m. there's nothing for you. When you start to reveal nothing's really what you feel, I could have warned you. I know, you know, I know, you'll never let me go. You're such a smoke show, baby, when you burn low, weaving through my mind like a 70s Camino. You're such a smoke show, I can't seem to keep hold, dancing in the glow, just watching your smoke show.
And that was Smoke Show by Southern Call.
Ready for facts that spark and glow. Weird and wonderful, here we go.
So today for our Weird and Wonderful segment, we are joined by Jody. Hi, Jody. What do you have for us today?
Hi guys, great to be here. Well, how about this for weird? We've got mushroom computers.
Mushroom computers? It's just like this science experiment where you power a clock with a potato.
Not quite. So some scientists at Ohio State University have used shiitake mushrooms, literally the kind you can buy in the supermarket, and created memristors. These are the type of computer component that remember the past electrical states that you've put through them.
So the same thing we buy at the grocers can actually power our computers?
So when we talk about a mushroom, we're normally talking about the cap. That's the kind of toadstool bit, and it's essentially the fruit of a mushroom. It makes great stews, but it's not great for building computers. Underneath, we get what's called mycelium, and this is sort of like the roots of the plant. These carry electrical signals acting almost like neurons, and it gives them great computational potential.
Okay, that's kind of cool, but why are we using mushrooms? Don't we already have computer competence to do these jobs?
So, firstly, if your mushroom could power a computer, why wouldn't you want it to? But more seriously, mycelium would be replacing the silicon chips. So comparatively, using fungus would be lower cost, more eco-friendly and scalable. These are really big steps forward when we talk about the current memory hardware of our computers.
So this does look really promising, but how do these memristors perform compared to the computers we're using?
Not bad, certainly not where you want them to be to enter the commercial market. The ones that were built in Ohio are about half the speed of the slowest memristors that you could get on the market at the moment, and their accuracy is about 90%. So it's a really early development, but they may not be able to challenge the silicon counterparts just yet, but they are getting there.
So Apple won't be releasing an updated fungi phone?
Not quite yet, no.
So this technology is really amazing, but how did scientists get the idea of using mushrooms as computer parts?
Well, as we develop computers, we're wanting them to behave more like brains, like they're actually thinking. So when we think, it's not one thing after another in a sequence. We can have thoughts and processes running alongside each other, happening simultaneously. And if we want our computers to behave like that, then we've got to have computer components that can manage those kind of processes and can also act like brains. Researchers have seen how vast and amazing fungal mycelium networks can be in nature. They connect root systems of plants under the forest floor, and they transmit electrical and chemical information, transfer nutrients, and create thriving ecosystems. So their potential is immense, and we can really harness that in computing.
So you're talking about mushrooms in general, but could we use any other type of fungus to make these memory stores?
Well, probably not any old fungi. There are probably other kinds that you could use, but there are so many different types. So roughly 200,000 that we know about, and about 14,000 in the UK. So some scientists also estimate that there are 2 million more species that we haven't even discovered yet, and not any mushroom will do. We've used slime mold in other things, but it's just not compatible in this type of software. Shiitake mushrooms are really commonplace, but they're cheap, they are easy to come by, and they're actually really robust and resilient to stressors, which is things like radiation, and it makes them perfect for our computing wetware.
Sorry, what was that? Wetware?
Yeah, wetware. So you've heard of hardware and you've heard of software, but when we start to involve organic matter, then we get wetware. And I know it sounds kind of gross, but that's just what it's called.
So how do scientists create this wetware, assuming we can't just plug in the mushrooms we buy from the shops?
Yeah, that won't get you very far. You need a controlled environment, monitoring temperature and humidity. The Ohio researchers grew mycelium networks from shiitake spores in Petri dishes. They then dried them out so they would be really long-lasting and started putting electrical currents through them. Depending on how you do this, the performances will vary, so I'm not suggesting people try it at home. I feel you end up with some really disappointing results and possibly something that looks like a Frankensteinian mushroom.
Well, we'll have to wait a while to have mushroom computers of our own then.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Well, thanks, Jody, for coming in today. That truly was weird and wonderful.
Now for our next track, this is Life Goes On by Bunker Buster.
Every day we wake up, eyes still closed, and no one knows the things behind our shut eyelids, or where any of it leads. I was blind and hoping, now my eyes are open. None of what I see makes sense. My mind's a fence, but I'm still singing. Ooh la 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 la, life goes on, and I'm not done. When everything goes up in smoke, I loved you with the very heart you broke. There's combat in your voice when you are whispering in my ear. I hear you loud and clear, so filled with fear. The shoulda dones, the coulda beens, the woulda seen it coming. People, all of them are blind. Love's too hard to find. I'm singing, ooh la 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 la, life goes on, and I'm not done. When everything goes up in smoke, I love you with the very heart you. Ooh la 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 la, life goes on. Yeah, I'm not done, no. When everything goes up in smoke, I love you with the very heart you broke. The truth's as big a lie as any other thing we say. Lines as big a sin as any other thing we do. Sins are as good a pastime as staring at the moon with you. Ooh la 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 la, life goes on, and I'm not done, no. Ooh la 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 la, life goes on, and I'm not done, no. When everything goes up in smoke, I loved you with the very heart you. Ooh la 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 la, life goes on, and I'm not done, no. When everything went up in smoke, I've loved you with the very heart you broke.
And that was Life Goes On by Bunker Buster. And now it's time for the science filter. This is the part of the show where we break down misconceptions we see in our everyday lives, sorting facts from fiction, and I have one to start us off with.
Tell me.
Well, in honor of the Toronto Blue Jays making it to the World Series for the first time in 32 years, might I add. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that's a big deal, so I had to emphasize it here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I thought I'd share a myth about Blue Jays. And for those of you that don't know, this is the championship finals for Major League Baseball, so it is a big thing, at least in North America.
Wait, so a myth about the Canadian baseball team?
Well, no, actually the bird, or their mascot, the Blue Jay. So, you know how Blue Jays are known for their bright blue feathers?
Well, yeah, it's literally in their name.
Okay, yes. But here's the twist. Did you know that Blue Jays aren't actually blue?
Then what color are they?
Well, the pigment in their feathers is actually brown because of melanin.
Brown? Okay, but then why do they appear blue?
Yeah, so this actually comes down to how the light interacts with their feathers. So unlike a cardinal, which actually is also a mascot for another baseball team, that didn't go and do as well as the Blue Jays, whose red feathering color comes from pigments called carotenoids, Blue Jays' feathers have no blue pigment at all. It all comes down to the structure of their feathers that creates this color.
So it's an illusion.
Exactly. Because of light scattering. So a blue jay's wings contain tiny pockets of air and keratin, which is the same protein that makes up our hair and fingernails. And when the sunlight hits these pockets, most wavelengths pass through their feathers, but the blue wavelengths get scattered and reflected back to our eyes. This is because the tiny pockets of air and keratin matches that of the wavelength of blue light. So while all the other colors pass through the feather, blue does not.
So are there any bluebirds out there?
I mean, there are lots of bluebirds, like indigo buntings and bluebirds, but none actually with this blue pigment that we talk about. They all use the same optical trick, essentially.
So it's all a lighting trick. Blue jays are just brown with some special lights.
Exactly. Technically a brown bird, but still a pretty good baseball team.
Still not as good as the Dodgers.
Okay, I mean, you didn't have to say that because it's still fresh, but correct, yeah. I guess at least this year, not as good as the Dodgers. But anyways, Alexia, do you have any myths for us this week?
In fact, I do. I want to talk about this idea that paper straws are a great alternative to plastic ones. In reality, that's not true at all. They're evil.
Okay. Really? I thought they were a lot better for the environment.
To be fair, paper straws do break down faster than plastic ones and aren't as harmful when lingering in oceans, but they are not harmless.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, starting off with how it's made. It's still pretty emissions heavy. It's a heavy emissions process, and most paper straws use virgin pulp, which is a freshly made paper that hasn't been recycled before. This is because it's considered safer as it is in contact with the food we consume. The paper is then layered, glued, and sometimes coated to help it retain its shape for longer.
Coated with what?
Well, some are uncoated, but most of them use a coating of wax, plant-based plastic, or even a thin layer of regular plastic to help stop them from falling apart in your drink.
Wait, so even some paper straws have plastic on them?
Indeed. And when it comes to breaking down, these coated straws can behave like plastic, as even straws with biodegradable coatings need industrial composting conditions. Your backyard compost won't do the trick.
So how about recycling them?
Well, their size and soggy state makes them difficult for recycling facilities to process, so most just end up in the general waste.
So they don't get recycled at all?
Yeah, they tend to end up in general waste.
So first black plastic, which we explored in our last science filter, and now paper straws?
Fortunately, yes. Essentially, your best bet is using a reusable straw, or just no straw entirely.
So paper straws aren't a great alternative that they may seem.
Yep, exactly. And
That's good to know.
actually, I want to bring up when I used to work at the cinema.
Oh, you
because
did?
We do have paper straws. And we tend to give only one to the customer. One is for economy because we're trying to save money as a business. But two is because we're trying to be eco-friendly. But then a lot of the customers always ask us for more back. They're like, oh, can I get 2 more, 3 more, just in case, because they break. So
Yeah,
everyone
that's okay.
knows that they're faulty. And if this science is true, that means they're not even as good as the plastic ones. So there's not much of a difference.
Yeah, I think even they kind of have like a weird taste to them sometimes. Do you
That
find
is
that?
true as well. I use one straw, but I like to use the metal ones. I like the reusable, the non-reusable ones. No, it's reusable. It's reusable. Although I've seen customers as well bring in their own spoons, for example, instead of like the wooden ones that we can give out.
That's good of them.
I think it'll be interesting to see more people carry such reusable materials. Metal straw, a metal spoon, just in case.
Yeah, no, I think cutlery is a great example of that. I think with metal straws, it's a bit trickier though because they are a bit of a pain to clean. So I feel like that turns people off of using them, or at least that's why I try to just drink from a cup rather than a metal straw. But the cutlery thing, I hadn't heard of that or seen that before, so that's cool. That's good to know because it's easy and better when we can try to make just our everyday lives a little bit more sustainable and better for the environment.
That is true. How do you usually try to make your life more sustainable?
I honestly, this might also be because of money, but I tend now to do secondhand shopping whenever I can and not buying directly from stores, especially fast fashion stores. I try to stay away from that. I take the bus, which in part is because I cannot drive, but also it's less emissions heavy. I'm not sure what else. I think sustainable fashion is definitely probably my biggest thing. And how about you?
Mine as well. I love thrifting, and now with all the online apps such as Vinted and Depop, you get to buy even more. Like there's more options for you to buy secondhand clothes without having to go to Primark or all the other companies that tend to mass produce clothing that ends up being in the landfill.
Yeah.
So it's good to not support them. And I do take the bus. Sometimes I skateboard if
that's cool.
the distance is not far.
But yeah, I think it's good that we both try to do a bit more sustainable practices. But I just wanted to kind of hit quickly on Movember. Was this everything? Have you known about everything that Liam talked about, or was there anything new that you learned?
Yeah, I need to grow a mustache. Apart from that, yeah, it's good to support each other. I think everyone is going through their own issues, and we tend not to talk to our friends or people about them just because we're scared of how they would react or how it would come off. But it's important to show support for everyone.
Yeah, I like that you really highlighted that it's great to share with your friends how you're feeling. But anyways, that was your science filter and a little bit of a discussion for this week. And thank you for tuning in. We will return next Thursday at 1 o'clock. Thank you, and bye for now.